I am John Garcia, and this is
Steve Edwards here, and we are weeding through the BS. So excited today. We got Javi Perez with us, and Javi has a lot, right, that is going on. Javi, we're excited to have you here and to hear your story because you've done so much. We've known each other a long time. Tell us about Javi. Let's start there.
Yeah. First of all, thank you. I mean, this is crazy. When you texted me about this and I heard the name, went through the BS, I'm like, okay, Steve lost his mind. But you know what? We've known each other for a long time. So yeah, I'm Javier Perez. I'm 46 years old. Didn't come in a boat here. I'm from Puerto Rico. I am a citizen.
Boricua.
Boricua, that's right.
All right.
I have 5 amazing kids, which I will mention their names because if I don't, they'll kill me. Right. So my oldest is Kaylee. She's 25 years old. Steve, you remember when you first met Kaylee? Just a little girl. And then my 2 sons, Caden, who's 10, Cameron, who's 6, and my twin girls, who are 3 years old. That's Olivia and Lexi. And yes, I am in a relationship, but I am a single, recently divorced father of 5 kids. So it's a busy house.
You are a busy man, Javi.
And then, of course, I get engaged to a 32-year-old woman who has a 6-year-old recently divorced. Oh, my God. So I'm going to need a school bus.
You got the whole team, I think.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
Javi's building he's building the football team, right? He's a good guy, right? He's a Green Bay Packers fan, so right there he's a good guy. So
yeah. Tell us a little bit about the professional experience, Javi. I know you coach and,
Yep. So I've been a baseball coach for about 11 years now, and I coach Boca Raton High School.
Okay.
That's on the baseball side. And then I work for a company called Brandon Hall Group right now. We're in the human capital management industry, human resources. Yep. So I'm the director of corporate accounts. They've been in existence for 30 years. The owner, Mike Cook, I coach his son for years now. So this summer is weird. I'm coaching travel ball, and all of a sudden he goes through my LinkedIn and he's like, "Hey, coach, didn't know you had a resume." I'm like, "So you thought that what you pay me is going to pay my bills?" So I didn't know that you do some kind of business. So one thing led to the other. And August 22nd of this year, he brought me to his office and he's like, "You're exactly what I needed." So brought me on board, and I love it. It's out of my professional career, outside of baseball, it's probably the best job I've ever had.
And it was something you hadn't done before. It was kind of new.
I've been in staffing before. I worked for Randstad back in the days, but not in this kind of depth. I mean, that industry, as Steve knows, dealing with recruiting and everything, it's very complicated. I've been on the other side of human resources, meaning the human resources director yelling at me because I said a bad word or something. Do we have HR in this podcast?
Oh, yes. There's absolutely. No HR.
All right, so no bullshit then. Okay, good. So I can actually say that.
Oh, I bet we could have.
There you go.
We got some bullshit bugs here.
But it's funny. So Steve, I know Steve for a while. We were neighbors until he decided to be smart and move out of the subdivision. But it's funny, when I saw what he was doing, I remember Steve first moving in and like doing 1,000 things to, and I always been the same way. It's all about the family at that point. Once the kids were born, it's like it doesn't matter what I have to do. So, and Steve knows I've done it all. When I lost my car, I did landscaping. When I didn't have my bike, I will walk. I will do whatever it took for the family. So, but professionally speaking, I'm probably in the best setting, for my family that I've ever been. I mean, I've never been this happy professionally.
That's awesome. God bless. That's awesome.
And you've worked at some big companies, right? Yeah. I remember when I first moved in, right? Yes, large nutritional company, and heading that, and you like this better.
Yeah, sports nutrition was always my life because baseball led me to it. But I joined sports nutrition when there was nobody around. BSN, we became the fastest growing sports supplement company in the world within 18 months. So we went from minus $40,000 first year to $8 million year one. Wow. And then by year 3, we were $88 million.
BSN?
Yeah. And then we got bought out by a large company from Ireland called Glanbia, who's actually my customer right now, which is hilarious how, it is. It just goes around. Yeah. And then they sold, the owners of BSN sold for close to $200 million. Wow. I stayed with Glanbia. They wanted me to keep running, but they were forcing me to move to Chicago. And I'm a Packers fan, so I probably could have moved there and have access.
That's like me moving to Boston. It'll never happen.
No, it'll never happen. It'll never happen.
That's some BS.
But you know what? That industry taught me a lot. It taught me about being humble. And Steve knows, when you make money, I always said, if I have money, I know that I will spend it. If I can afford it, I will buy it. And I still stand by it. But now I put myself in a budget. You know, all the nice cars, all the nice stuff. I had all that stuff and I lost it. And I'm managing.
You mean no more Lamborghinis rented on the weekend for date night?
Nope, no more of that. Actually, I did just rented a brand new Corvette for Carly's birthday.
Okay.
But you know what? Lamborghinis used to cost like $1,800 a night. This was like all friends, $150. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
I remember moving into the neighborhood and all of a sudden I'm like, there's a Lamborghini in my neighbor. And then all of a sudden the guy across the street pulls out with the new Bentley GT. And I was like,
I remember that guy.
I'm like, what neighborhood did I move into? I'm like, I don't know about this, but you know, you've kind of, and you touched on that. So I'm going to kind of bring it up. You know, you worked really hard. You had that, you've had some humbling experiences. You know, what kind of BS did you go through? Right. Let's call it out.
Let's call it out.
Like John says, Steve, you're a boxer, take off the gloves.
Yeah.
You know, what was the biggest in your life, business, whatever you want? What was the biggest BS that you felt you went through?
My 2 divorces. So I've been divorced twice.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will not mention names, you know, but they know who they are. But I was married. So I was married young, about 20 years old, with my first wife, who's the mother of Kaylee, my daughter. And we had a great marriage. You know, out of 10 years of marriage, the first one sucked. The last one was horrible.
Oh,
but that literally took, I mean, my alimony was $5,000 a month for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how we started. Now, because I was in such a good industry and money was not an issue, you know, we're making so much money that was okay. Then I decided to remarry. And that's when the biggest issue came, right? And without mentioning names or anything. So, Steve, that's what really, I will say, that's what really fucked me up.
Yeah.
I mean, it really put me through the hardest times of my life, from depression to, you know, contemplating suicide to losing as much money as I had without me even recognizing that. I mean, because I felt like my job was to provide for my family. I will travel. Steve knows I will travel close to 45 times a year. I wasn't managing the money. I thought somebody else was, and she was, but for herself. So that really, I mean,
for Amazon.
Correct. Amazon. I didn't know. I mean,
you have stock in Amazon you didn't know about.
Well, it's funny because what's that brand that the girls use all the time? Fashion Nova, right? So, you know, Fashion Nova, it's like a clothing brand, right? And I started getting all these packages. I'm like, is that baby formula? I mean, this is after the girls were born. I'm like, and next thing I know, it is Fashion Nova, you know, it's for fashion. So long story short, that really, and everybody who knows me, you know, I'm an open book, and that really was the worst period of my life. And still battling through it. You know, I just got divorced after 3 years separate, almost 3 years separated, on December 8th, 2022. Carly and I celebrated very well. Nice. But I can tell you, I love marriage. Nobody gets married to get divorced. Everybody knows that. But my advice is just spend time getting to know this person. You know, you never know what you're going to get. But, you know, to be honest with you, that was the hardest part. Professionally speaking, I think I've been good with my companies. But, you know, that relationship made me lose a lot of great opportunities.
So we're weeding through the BS because 50% of marriages on average end in divorce. You have 5 kids.
Yep.
What's the conversation now about a relationship to one of your kids?
Well, the first thing I will tell you is this, taking it back to that, I'm with someone that doesn't want to get married or doesn't want any more kids. So that's a unicorn, especially when she's only 32.
Yeah.
Right. Normally at that age, you want to have all this.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. And we are actually engaged. Yeah, I said it. You know, we are engaged, and we are not, but we're going to do, and all you guys will be invited. We're going to rent an Airbnb by the beach in Vero Beach, have a big party, and that's all.
Nice.
You know, we're nothing signed. You know, we're just going to have fun, and it's all about the kids. You know, I have to focus on that. What I would tell my kids is, don't get married. Enjoy your life. I will explain to them the difference, but to be honest with you, I'll tell them, you know, if you have somebody that you truly love and you don't have to get married. You know, I know I have plenty of friends. I've been together for like 30 years. And the minute they have signed that paper after 30 years, they're like, what the hell just happened, right?
It's amazing. It's true.
So just if it's working, don't break it, you know?
What do you think you learned from that, right? So you went through it, you know, obviously you just kind of, you know, talked about a little bit about what you did, but what do you think you learned from that, right? Like, in the book that I'm writing, at the end of every chapter, it's lessons that I learned from all those failures, right? Because I believe that every failure every loss, every something that didn't go right, I learned something from that.
Correct.
And I know you want to say don't get married again, but you can't say that.
I'm not going to say that.
So what do you think you learned from
That experience?
From that experience?
Well, I learned a lot about myself, that you have to have self-worth. I'm a very given person. And I think that I had to learn to be a little bit more selfish and take care of myself. Mm-hmm. I think that I give so much and never set expectations high enough. So if I'm going to give you love, I want the same thing in return. If I'm going to take care of the kids, I should expect the same. In the past, I was like, I'm going to give you all the love. It doesn't matter if you give it back to me. If the kids are crying in the middle of the night, just got back from a trip, I shouldn't have to be the only one tending to the kids. So I learned that I have to have some self-worth. And a lot of people in the past thought that I was this cocky guy. It's not that I have a lot of confidence, but that experience brought my confidence down so low. But I learned that when I was at my lowest, and it took training, it took a lot of meditating and just losing about 40 pounds, that I was worth it. And, that's what took me through this job right now. My boss will tell you, the owner of the company, the job that I have is what kids that are graduating from Hofstra, Yale, this is the job that they normally get. So for me to get at 46 years old is a blessing. I mean, I'm completely blessed. This is such an amazing opportunity, especially when I'm the director of corporate accounts, that we have 8,000 accounts and nobody was handling them. So it was like perfect. So I think this experience with my divorce, especially the second one, taught me that I needed to take care of myself a little bit more and start being a little bit more selfish and just be me, have fun. Like I learned after a while that I wasn't smiling enough. Like Steve and Christine would see me outside and I was just angry all the time. And I'm like, is it just, and it wasn't just that person. It was myself. I did it to myself.
I got to thank you, because as a guy, we don't usually talk about these things, right? It's always taboo. And I always, as a health coach, I tell people you have to make yourself a priority.
Talking about priorities.
Yeah. And most guys don't. And it's kind of like that whole double standard and BS, like a way a guy's supposed to be and a way a girl is supposed to be. And you're a perfect example of, what is not the stereotype, a guy who is doing it all. And actually on the other short end of the stick, and we usually hear the woman, that's on the short end of the stick. So thank you so much for sharing.
Well, and you said that, and this brings me to like the biggest job in my life, which is being a mom and a dad. I went through, think about this. My twins are 3 years old. They'll be 4 in August. I started taking care of those 2 girls plus my 10 and 6 when they were about 4 months old. So literally their first steps, diapers, doctor's visit. I went through all that. And sure, Carly and I have been together, 16 months now, and she's been in their life, but that's not their mom. Right. And I'm very thankful because she has really taken on that role, and those kids love her. But me as a father, and you said as a man, it should be the opposite normally. Like when people hear the story, they're like, what? You have custody? Like you are the one doing this stuff? So that is the toughest job, but I wouldn't trade it, man. I know that I'm crazy. Like the other day I went to where was it? I don't know. So I'm crazy. I take my kids everywhere and people look at me like I'm nuts. I am nuts and I know that. But you know what? I'm trying to teach my 2 boys that this is the way that you raise kids. This is the way you treat women. I mean, my kids can never tell you that I abuse their mom, yell at their mom or anything. It was always respectful. So I think that is truly my mission, just to, if I can do it, anybody else can do it. It's just don't have as many kids as me. That's the only problem.
Awesome.
Thing what I took out of that is, right, the toughest job, the most important, right, is the dad. That's right. And you were you said it, right, as you're kind of playing the mom and the dad in there and having that together, right? I've said it so many times, the hardest job, right? Like my wife is the CEO of the house, right? Yep. She's there, she's doing that while I'm here doing this stuff. And she's like, oh, you're out there having fun. You're on podcasts, you're going out to lunch, you're working. And I'm like, I'm working to support the family. Yeah. Luckily, she's got a good personality on that, but it's so
she
difficult.
Gives you a little shit though.
Just a little bit, right? Oh, right. We got her on the show. Right? I won't come out one day. We'll get her on the show.
That would be the best episode.
Oh my gosh, that might be a little fun. But and I've watched you, right, and to see what you've done with your kids and you're everything for them, right? Like you are a true inspiration. Like it doesn't matter. Like he said it. I mean, I'd see him riding his bike and saying, hey, I'm going to mow the grass. right? Doing whatever it took to support your family. So Javi, like, I've always respected you for that, right? Like, you know, and you've gone through a lot of and you made it to where you're at, right? And that's so exciting to see, right? And you know, I always love that. But before we get to the next session, I want to do a quick little shout out to our sponsors, our title sponsor, leadershipbooks.com. You know, excited about our partnership with them as we're writing the Weeding Through the BS series. 7 books coming out of the Weeding Through the BS series. First one coming out later this year, which will be my story. And then we'll have the other stories. So, and second, we need a big shout out to Owl and Jason Hill, the app that you created out there about getting experts to talk to each other. And if you want advice,
his app is all about weeding through the BS. It's calling the person you need to speak to directly. Forget the gatekeeper. Forget all that other junk. Weed through the BS. I got to speak to Javi. I get him on Owl and we talk.
How amazing is that, right? Like, I can't wait to get him on to tell the story, but he built an app specifically. So if I want to talk to an expert in the marketing field, I can call them, right? It's great for sales, right? I want to get to somebody who's not going to, they're going to take that phone call because they're going to make money off my phone call, right? And then get it. So Think Big Websites, thank you for all you do as well. So, you know, back to Javi. What else, Javi? What if you could give anybody, you're a phenomenal baseball coach, right? You played college ball. Mm-hmm. You've worked in the supplement industry, which John and I have talked about that quite a bit, right? That's like one of the biggest BS industries out there, right? So let's dive into that because health coaching. Oh, take this supplement, then this supplement.
Omega-3.
Right? Did I send that to you? I saw this thing on Facebook the other day. It was on Instagram. I think I sent that to you. Yeah. It was eating healthy in 2023.
Eggs.
I'm gonna eat my eggs. Oh, don't eat eggs. Eggs are bad for you. Okay, well, I'm just gonna eat my green veggies. Yes, lover, I do eat my green veggies. My wife says I don't eat veggies, but you can't eat green veggies. Oh, you're gonna get sick, and it's gonna be that. Which, by the way, more people get sick off of this lettuce. Like, I don't know if you watch the news, E. coli and everything. Yeah. So I just want to stay away from that. That's why I stay away from green veggies, because I don't want to get E. coli.
For rabbits.
Exactly, rabbit food. And then the guy goes, okay, well, I'll just have some good water. And it was like, no, you can't have water. But that's really how it is, right? Yep. And like, we live in a world that is crazy. So tell us a little bit about the supplements, right? Yeah. I love some of those.
So I tell you really quick, my first Mr. Olympia, which is the biggest show in the industry. You know, you have a big expo in Vegas every year, was in 2005. Shit you not, it's a health industry and everything. As soon as I walk in, all I see is all these people doing blow. First party that night, all these healthy people are just getting drunk. So I'm thinking to myself, like, am I in the health industry? I didn't know what. So, you know, and that's like, I'm literally summarizing my life for 13 years in that industry. But I tell you this, there's a lot of good companies, but marketing does their job. Yeah. You know, a lot of the supplements are good. You have some good companies like Glambia, for example. They are a cheese and milk manufacturer. So they are a publicly traded company in Ireland. They cannot lie about things. But, you know, I see all these companies now. People ask me, do you miss the industry? And the answer is no. Everything has been done. Pre-workouts have been done. Creatine have been done. There's nothing noble about the industry. But I tell you this, and I'm not going to mention brands, but all you bullshitters out there with the brand, with this super amazing ingredients. I don't want to say names. Oh, my God, I'm biting my tongue. Again, but let me tell you this, you will get cut one day because it's coming. People are getting smarter. Like you say, you know, because people love social media, right? So what they do is that they keep promoting, and there's going to be people with a lot of money that are going to research your products, and you see it every day. People are falling.
I'm the first guy that is anti-regulation. You know, like, I don't want a ton of regulation and the government. But in supplements, you know, is it too loose? Is it just too, you know, you could say whatever you want. You could.
Correct.
And then you just put a little disclaimer, right? Yeah. May not actually lower cholesterol.
No, and here's the problem. we have kids, right? My kids can be taking this supplement. So I take that part very serious. So if my son, when Kaylee was in high school, can I take this protein? Let me look at the label. Why? Because I need to know what you're ingesting. You never know. Right. Some of these ingredients, I mean, where did COVID came from, right? Some of these ingredients are coming straight from Wuhan. Trust me. Yeah. I've been in China. I went there for 3 weeks for work. I seen where some of this, it's not pretty.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not pretty.
Put anything in there. Yeah.
It's right. The proprietary blends, right? I love that.
That is the best.
It's the proprietary. What is it? It's bull semen. You know? Like I remember. So when Red Bull came over, and I'm a diehard Red Bull fan, and a lot of my
they should sponsor the show. I'm telling you,
shameless plug.
Yeah. And you know, in 1999, I worked at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas, and I worked midnight to 8 a.m. And that's when Red Bull came over, and it was like as soon as I had it, I was like, I'm hooked. So like people say it all the time to me. They're like,
"Oh, it's all natural. Don't worry."
Yeah, Steve, like you got to stop drinking energy drinks. And I'm like, listen, I've probably drank energy drinks longer than most people in the country. Now I don't drink a lot, right? I may have one a day, but it's not there. But I remember back in the day, they're like, "What's taurine?" Right? And they were like, "It's bull semen," but they got to call it something else because nobody would drink bull semen. You know, and it's
what it is.
Yeah, but it's so much of that's out there right now. I see all over, you know, Facebook and Instagram. It's like, use this pre-workout. It doesn't have all the fillers like everyone else. Guess what? It does.
It does.
Right? Yeah. They're all BS.
It does. Yeah. Everything. And you know, you got to be careful because, I mean, taking 600 milligrams of caffeine in one sitting, like some of these pre-workouts, that can destroy you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a junkie for that. I mean, I can take, but I've been using it for so long. But the other thing too is because of social media, right? I mean, we did this to ourselves. Sure. You know, the industry just took advantage of it. Right. You know, Amazon built a lot of these companies. So you know that a lot of these companies that you see, without mentioning names, they are created by Amazon, basically, because the profit margin is insane. I mean, Amazon used to be a customer of mine when I was at Columbia, and we used to make their private products that nobody knew. It's private label, right? No. So you can, like, we can put our monies together right now. We can start a brand today and be on Amazon by tomorrow, and they will make more money than us. Makes no sense, but they dominate. But when it comes to ingredients, you just got to be careful. But when they tell you that it's all natural, there's nothing natural.
No, nothing's natural anymore.
Yeah, that's a big that BS in food labels and all that stuff. It's like you see all natural orange juice, and then they're getting sued now or ginger ale got sued because there's no ginger in the soda. If you expect ginger in ginger ale,
well, isn't there something in the milk industry now? Isn't the milk industry trying to sue the almonds because you can't call it it's milk. Not milk. It's it's not almond milk. Yep. I don't care. I like coconut. I like coconut. I'm a coconut and almond milk fan.
That's a lot of BS. You know, I want to, if you don't mind, just talk about the kids a little bit, because we talk a lot about the generation, the millennials, and all this stuff. We're resilient. Like our generation, you can't compare. You know, but is it because at one point we were immature, young, and stupid, and
we still are,
right? And then, but I think there's resiliency that you spoke about. I don't see it right now. Is it because they haven't developed? You coach young guys, and I think sports makes you more resilient in general. You know, talk a little bit about. I think just is it something that you believe is just it's time for them to grow up, or is it just a different generation? And it's never going to be the same again.
It's a different generation. It's, to be honest with you, it's never going to be the same in my eyes because but it comes down to parenting. Yeah. Right. Okay, I mean, think about it. We have kids, right? And like this weekend, my kids love their iPads, right? I decided no electronics weekend. So what are we going to do, Dad? We're going to go to the park. We're going to go to the beach. Oh, but I'm going to get tired. So no iPads. It's easier as a parent, and I know that, to give an electronic to the kids and say, go, Tommy, go do whatever you have to do. Then I can take a nap. I can clean. I can do whatever. When we were growing up, my mother would beat my ass with a broomstick. No, Mom, if you're listening, you literally did. And she knows. She probably still does. I mean, my mom.
Been there.
Now, I'm an only child. I'm from Puerto Rico. Yeah. I grew up with all females in my household, and I was I'm the oldest of the grandkids by 8 years. So I was by myself, and my mom beat me up. And that's how baseball became so important to me. Because it was my way out, not of the island, but a way out from my mother to beating me up. Because she would make me do stuff. These days it's too easy. And these kids these days with social media too. I mean, I seen kids, YouTubers. I mean, what is the name of that kid that makes like $3 million a month on his YouTube?
There's a couple of them. Though.
I mean, there's a couple of that kid with the toys and everything. So
the toys. Yeah.
So my point is that there could be a positive in it and a negative, but at the same time, it starts at home, man. You gotta treat your kids.
Yeah, like my son's 19, so there's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
I give him enough to like go bump your head in the wall. Like I don't give him all the answers, but I think for Steve, you have a lot younger boys.
5 and 8.
Yeah.
So
it's like
it's that tough thing. But we live in a world right now. If I asked you a question, you didn't know the answer, what are you going to do?
Google.
You're going to Google it,
right?
right?
Chat GPT.
It is Chat GPT, right? Yeah. But we live in a world of instant gratification now.
Yep.
So think of these kids, right? My son is 5. He can do anything on his iPad, find anything on my phone. My 8-year-old last night, I said, hey, I know you're staying home from school. You got the virus, which so many of the kids have at school. I go, why don't you do this math game? And he goes, I deleted that math game. I go, why did you delete the math game? He goes, download it. He goes, you showed me on your phone, you deleted an app on your phone. So I figured out how to do it on my app. So I deleted the app that you put on so I could learn math. And I'm like, well, first of all, bravo on doing something right, Tristan, but I didn't want you to do that. But
figured it out.
The kids live instant gratification. I want this. I want that. They get it. So now you take somebody from instant gratification from 5 years old to high school to college. Now I graduate college, and I'm in the workforce. What am I used to? I'm used to instant gratification. Correct. Right? So I'm used to doing this and getting it now. So there was a test, and I don't know. I just found out. I didn't know. My wife knew about it. It's called the marshmallow test. You guys heard of that?
No.
So the marshmallow test was done in Stanford, at Stanford in like 1972. Oh. So what they did is they put a kid in a room, and they put a marshmallow in front of them. And they said, you got 5 minutes. You can eat that marshmallow now, or if you make it 5 minutes, we'll double your we'll give you 2 marshmallows. So now these kids, right? Some of them just said, well, they ate it. Some of them waited, but they studied these kids over 20 years. The kids who had delayed gratification were more successful in life.
That's a beautiful thing. Delayed gratification, right? So, athletes. I mean, that's a great,
It is. So what did I do this weekend? I took my 5-year-old and I said, hey, Gavin, here's 5 little marshmallows that he loves. And I go, sit here. He sat on his little table, and I gave him the 5. And I said, here's the thing. If you sit there and look at these the whole time for 5 minutes and not eat them, you will get 10. But if you eat one, you don't get anything, right? And my kid loves candy, right? He's I call him the little wild beast cookie monster. Loves it. So I really didn't know what was going to happen. So then he made it. Well, so then I go, watch this. I go, Christine. I go, Gavin, now here's 10, right? Here's your 5 plus the 5 that you just won. If you go another 5 minutes, I'll double it again. And he made it.
Oh, my
I was like, because he's like, shocked me. But he knew the big picture of what am I going to get if I do this, right? That delayed gratification. Yep. And I see that. And it kind of goes, he was talking to you about coaching.
Yep.
I don't know how you do it, right? You coach at we'll call it an elite school.
Yeah.
Coaching to me is tough, right? Because I don't know if I'd want to deal with the parents. How do you deal with?
Let's say it like it is. It's Boca, where there's a lot of
You said it,
it's Boca.
That is true.
How do you take those parents who maybe the kid isn't the best, and they're going to yell at you because they got money? They're going to try to. Yeah. How do you? Can you even talk
this is
about
the perfect. That? Yeah, this is the perfect day actually for this because it happens every day, especially. We just played our 5th game last night, and you're always going to get a complaint, right? So I learned throughout the years that no matter what I do, good or bad, it doesn't matter. I always tell this to parents in our meetings before the season starts. Baseball, high school baseball, is unfair. because we're getting paid to win games. And trust me, our salary is nothing. I'm literally coaching. I'll tell you right now, I'm getting paid $2,500 to coach high school baseball. And that's for the season. And the district doesn't pay me until after the season, 3 months after.
Wow.
So I'm doing it. So like last year, I spent $7,000 out of my own money to make $2,500. So I just lost all that. But I do it because I love it.
Yeah.
But this is the way that I deal with it. You have to set realistic expectations with the parents first. And my rule is, if a kid is not happy with his playing time, the kid, which is not a kid, I'm dealing with kids that are between 15 and 18, come to me, man, tell me, coach, what do I need to do to earn playing time? That's it. And I'll explain to you. Maybe you suck, you know, and I have to be honest. We have a lot of kids that shouldn't be playing in our team. But you know what? They work hard, and you know what? They're good teammates. So I take that under consideration, and they're happy with their uniforms, but their parents are not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you understand that your son just finished telling me how happy he is being here, but you're complaining about it? Oh, you know, I donate X amount of dollars and everything. That is my biggest issue. Yeah. So money can buy you playing time. Summer ball, for example. I love coaching in the summer. You make good money, you travel, that's great. That's a little bit different because these people are paying $1,500, $2,000 sometimes per kid to travel and do everything plus expenses. So you kind of have to play everybody, but I will never, ever change my baseball ethics. The best kids play the game. Doesn't matter the age. You know, you want to win. You don't want to participate at our level.
Well, I think you hit, you know, the parent was unhappy, but the kid was happy. If the parent could see that kid's happiness, that should be it.
You know what I tell the parent? Just don't watch the game. Go somewhere. The kid will tell you. He will text you from the dugout because he's not playing in my team. And you know what? If I have a chance, my kids know that. I'll give them a chance. But when you have a game like last night, we played Par Vista. It's the best team that you can play around. And, you know, we lost the game, unfortunately. But I was not going to give opportunities in that game. I mean, it was a tight game.
Yeah.
Now, I open up the game. Everybody goes in. But when it's a tight game and it's a district game, it's a big game, and you have almost 1,000 fans. I mean, the place was going crazy. And we're playing at their house and everything. I don't want to embarrass ourselves.
Well, I'm glad. That's teaching them delayed gratification, teaching them that you get what you earn, right? Yeah. You're not just going to be playing because you're part of the team.
If you work hard, you earn playing time. But there's some kids these days that are just, well, it's been like that. They're blessed. I mean, I have kids that they were born to play baseball. Yeah. And then there's some of them that have to work so hard just to get there. Yeah. And everybody wants to be a D1 recruit and everything. It's very tough, man. There's a lot of baseball players in the world, and then everybody wants to be a pitcher. Everybody wants to be a shortstop. And I will tell you, I don't know if our audience watches baseball, but if you have a kid and they want to play baseball, there's one position that they should be playing. It's catcher.
I was going to say shortstop.
But when you play catcher, you know how is the easiest way to get recruited because nobody wants to play it. I played catcher my whole career, and it was the easiest position for me.
I mean, I didn't play organized baseball beyond Little League, but for me, the catcher was always the most important position also on the field.
You're the only player that gets to see the whole field.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I like that responsibility, which leads me to like why I've always had that mentality of being resilient because I was trained that way. There's no way looking back. And when you're in the other positions, you have to look back. So, but yeah, you're right. This generation kind of, it's different, that's for sure.
As a fellow coach, thank you for the time you put in and helping the kids. That's
no problem. I love it. I will still do it until I die.
Well, we're going to ask you for two things. Yep. Something true about you, which Steve knows you a little bit better, so he has an advantage here. And then something that's BS.
So you got to come up with two things, right? So this is really for John and I, right?
Okay.
This is for our egos. Every guest is going to go on here. So if you listen to this and you're going to be a guest,
you got to sign the wall before you leave.
Yep. Yes. You're going to we want to know one truth and one that's BS, and we have to choose. So then John and I are going to keep a little tracking of who's a better BS detective. So
we'll give you a minute to think about it. If you want, while you're thinking about it, you can sign the wall.
Yeah. Sign the wall while you're thinking about it.
So which one do you want me to do first?
No, you just pick. And then you pick two things and we have to guess.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right, it's that old game, right? What was it called back in the day? Two truths and a lie.
Yeah, we played that as a
game. Remember the leadership one?
Yeah.
Right? We had Jose. Jose's like, I can't do it. I don't lie. Right? He's like, I'm a God-fearing man, and I just don't lie. Like Jose,
that's a lie.
But he did it. He was so it was there. So, but it was fun. So, all right,
there you go.
All right, Javi.
All right. So two things. Number one, my favorite movie of all times is The Notebook.
The Notebook.
Yep.
Okay.
Notebook. The second thing will be my biggest. I love my father more than I love my mother.
Oh, damn.
There you go.
You can touch that one.
I'm not getting into
Oh,
that.
shit.
Oh,
I know what I'm picking.
That's
Man.
good.
I'm going. I'm gonna say The Notebook was the truth.
And I could say that I could agree. We would get one each, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say The Notebook was the truth.
Yeah, you guys are right.
You were trying to trick us, I think. He
I-
was trying to.
listen,
he
I
was
did, I
thinking
did.
too much, and I
That's
was
a
like,
good-
he's trying to trick us.
As
I
a-
had no idea. That was a tough one.
As a dad, he was hoping that someone would say, "I love my
love my
dad."
dad.
I thought he was coming there.
But if
But
you would have
that's
picked that
impossible.
anyways,
That's
you
impossible.
probably would have been right anyways. 'Cause
Yeah.
My mother pisses me off. My father doesn't.
Oh yeah.
Well, Javi, we appreciate your time
Thank you,
today.
guys.
Thank you so much,
That was
sir.
awesome, man.
It was there.
That was awesome.
You know.
Thank you so much.
All right. Good luck with everything.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank
great.
you, man.
From John and Steve here at Weeding Through the BS. Thanks for watching this episode. What a great episode. We learned about BS in personal life, business life, and you can see what knocks you down, you can still get back up, right? You're going to have challenges. You're going to learn. There's always lessons to learn. But it's what you do after you fall down is what makes you successful.
And that's not BS.
And that's not BS.
That was-
Tune in for the next episode of Weeding Through the BS.
See you guys.
We're out.
Thank you.